Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid Radio Program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.
Hey folks, welcome to the program. This is Scotty Roberts. I'm your host. This is the Intrepid Radio Program right here on my YouTube channel. So we're technically not a radio program anymore with the shutdown of Odyssey Radio. We're just a podcast, a lowly, humble, meek and mild podcast right here on my YouTube channel. You can also find us over on my Facebook page, a couple of different Facebook pages, the Intrepid Radio Facebook page, my Facebook page. You can find us over on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can find us also on my Instagram channel where it's playing live. I do not believe there is any method to be able to use a chat room over on any of those. You can comment, but the best place to get the chat room, as you all know, if you're a regular to this show right now, or have been for a long time, is right here on the YouTube channel. So everybody, welcome to the program. It's called Twatter, says Field Guy. So welcome, Field Guy and Roger are the only ones in the chat room right now. I see a whole hell of a lot of bunch of you out there that are not in the chat room. Come on in, and you can join us. I was just distracted by Roger Rabbit, said interesting topic. I was just listening to Sean Ryan's interview with Edwin C. May, the director of the Stargate project. Yeah, there's some pretty interesting things going on with meditation in those areas. So that's not what this show is about tonight. Tonight is rather let's call it a light show. I was not feeling it today. A long day. I'm drinking coffee. I'm drinking coffee at 9 o'clock at night, which I don't normally do. You know, it's kind of funny. Old story. When we were first doing radio back in 2000, 2001, 2002, the early 2000s, up before many of you know my wife, Rainey, we met in 2004, started dating in 2005. So all the way kind of up till the time I met Rainey, we used to pride ourselves on drinking coffee late at night. And also, I got my God voice on. I don't know if you can hear that reverberation. That got clicked on. That's the old stream catching to the radio station, which now no longer exists. So we would smoke and we would drink coffee all night long doing radio back when we first started doing this. We were doing paranormal radio, and we also did politics back in the early 2000s when Intrepid Radio first began. And, well, I take that back. We were called something else back then. And I don't know, what was it? Just the Scotty Roberts radio show or something like that. Some inane, innocuous topic like, or name like that. And it wasn't until after I founded Intrepid Magazine and we started publishing the magazine in 2011 that the radio show eventually got morphed over to Intrepid Radio, which was kind of the radio branch of Intrepid Magazine. We were also affiliated with KGRA back then, which was Race Hobbs, who is now with X. I wish I had a voice like him. He's got like a what would you call that? Not juicy is not the word, not moist. He's got that lubricated Darth Vader sound. He's the one that does the announcing at the beginning of the show. Anyway, so that's how we morphed. But we used to drink coffee. Actually, one of our headers was this long header that went across the top, and it had a little ashtray up there full of burning cigarette butts that you're looking at from overhead. Now, Overnight AM was what we were called back then, and one of the incarnations of this show. So here's to y'all. A little coffee. Take a sip. Because I need it tonight. So I wanted to do a show that was maybe a little lighter than talking about politics, which is so bogged down. It's incredible. Especially now. This is an interesting election cycle, eh? And now that Kamala Harris is now the heir apparent, even though she has not yet been voted, the delegates haven't voted her in or anything like that, she could still not be the candidate on the left. But the left is making great pains and great strides to make sure that she is going to be the candidate in place of Joe Biden. This is the woman that none of them wanted to be in the presidency. Why Joe Biden was not removed earlier from office under a 25th Amendment, because nobody wanted, even the Democrats did not want Kamala Harris as the president. But now she's the best thing since canned shit to hit the Democratic Party. So we'll talk about that another night, not tonight. So, yeah, field guy, I kind of drink coffee whenever too. My wife is always telling me, you know why you can't sleep at night? You drink too much caffeine at night. I go, yeah, caffeine has never really had that hold on me or that effect on me. Yeah, the Dems kind of screwed themselves. I don't like to make predictions this early anymore. Why? Well, we saw what happened last presidential election. Now we're looking at this presidential election. Who the hell knows how it's going to actually turn out? What's going to happen? Because Kamala is in there. At least she's a younger woman, a woman of color. And now that she's in there, to vote against her is misogynistic or racist or so. That's the way it's already being played, you know. There, Roger, I think just said it. Don't come out against her or you'll be called a racist, bigot, sexist. Save that for another night, though. Yeah, we'll talk about how racist, bigoted, and sexist I am on another night. I won't talk about ageist, though, or, I was discussing over on Instagram on a fellow paranormal person, friend of mine for a long time. I don't know her personally, but meaning in real life. I've always known her on the internet. We've talked for 10 years. And she had put up a post. I gather from her she's not a big Trump supporter. And there were some discussions going on about the assassination attempt from the other night. And somebody came in, had not added one little tidbit of substantive conversation to the debate. I was taking to task somebody who made kind of some stupid statements. And this woman comes in and says, "Oh, you're just triggered." And I'm like, no, I'm not triggered. I said, I don't get triggered. I said, but I do like to tweak people who make stupid statements. Oh, so it's okay to tweak people then, but you're not triggered. Oh, no. It was one of those types of things. And then her very next post, she said something to the effect, "Oh, aren't you that same guy who was knocking on doors begging for people to bring you to their events so you could do your psychic readings? And you could fleece people for their money and et cetera, et cetera." And I thought, so here is somebody who hasn't made, as far as I could see in that thread, a single contribution to the thread other than to take one of the people, me, very few others, who was speaking out and saying, well, no, I think it's this and this. I thought I was being rather rational. And rather than attack my points of view, she started personally attacking me and starting to degrade my character, insinuating that I'm a guy that likes to fleece people for money for tarot readings. She didn't say tarot, psychic readings. And that aren't I the one that's begging to get in at all these events and knocking on all the doors? And I thought, do I answer her directly and dismantle what she just said? Because I'll tell you, between you and I don't go knocking on doors. I, maybe 15 years ago, knocked on a few doors and said, hey, oh, and by the way, this woman, she represents psychics and other people to events. So I must have, at some point, I didn't recognize her at all. Maybe at some point I sent her an email and said, hey, are you looking to represent people? I said, I'd like to come in. And I said, I do tarot readings, and I also have books published. I like to speak at these events. And so I've never billed myself as a psychic reader. You all know that when you've heard me read. And so I haven't seen a response back from her. That was either really late last night or early this morning that exchange took place. And what I did say, rather than defend myself, because as soon as you start defending yourself, they've hooked you into what they're trying to do. What was the attempt there? You've all heard, and I've talked about him here before, Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, which was written in the late 60s. And you can always tell when the left, especially, utilizes Alinsky's rules. One of them was if you can draw your opponent off topic by making them defend themselves, even for a false charge, you've drawn them off topic and they aren't feeding the audience. You've got them on the run and on the defense. And I knew that was exactly what she was doing. That's gaslighting. And so I said, I said, I'd rather see what you're doing here. And, just for sake of interest, because it will segue into what we're talking about tonight. Let me tell you what was said over there, because I think it's interesting. And here it is. Her first comment to me was, "You are definitely triggered when you feel the need to tweak, LOL, people's posts of their opinions. And you are 100% in a cult. Grow up." And there was another post she made before that because I answered it that way. Now, here's the other post she put. Right after that, she said, it was 14 hours ago. She said, "Mr. Scotty Roberts, are you still doing those fake, not accurate psychic readings, begging for money to go to conventions? Ha 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 ha." That was her response to me. And I said, well, wait a minute. There's a little more to this than that. So in looking at, just so you know how I responded, I want you to know I didn't go in and defend anything against what she said. I'm not going to do that because then I'm buying into the her appraisal or her whatever you want to call it. So let me find it here. Let's see. I want to hop in. It doesn't show on the notifications here that my reply is there anymore. Let's see if it's still there. Well, it has the same number of posts. I got to scroll down to it. Hang on. Because I want you to know how I responded to that. And that was an attack. It was an attack on my character as opposed to an attack on the content of what I was talking about. And let's see. I'm scrolling down. I got to scroll down, and Instagram's kind of wonky when you're trying to go down. And here you go. Right after she said that, she had said, "You are definitely triggered when you feel the need to." Her first post was, "Wow, you are super triggered over Trump. You might want to seek some help. It's looking a little culty." Now, that was just when I was discussing with somebody who was trying to take me to task on whether or not Trump had actually been shot. All right. Now, I said, triggered isn't something I do, but I do like to tweak stupid posts. Meaning, how stupid was it that someone, and of course, when you're getting into these conversations in those corridors, you get all kinds of people that are, yeah, what he said. Yeah. And they don't know what they're talking about at all. None of them have looked into anything. And I said, I also do not suffer from TDS. I said, so that doesn't guide my posts. And she said, "You're definitely triggered when you feel the need to tweak, LOL, people's posts of their opinions. You're 100% in a cult, grow up." And then she said, "Are you still doing those fake, not accurate psychic readings, begging for money to go to conventions? Ha ha ha." And my first response was to her first post about the triggering and stuff. And I said, as you already know so well, you're certainly entitled to express your opinion on that. I notice you haven't said a word in debate or dialogue, but went straight for the ubiquitous triggered attack. That tells me a lot about how secure you are in whatever belief you hold about this. Unable to dialogue, but attack somebody with great ease if they hold a differing opinion in a mutual friends open forum. Bravo. By the way, the triggered thing is so outdated, it's become a trope. Calling out someone for being triggered is, psychologically speaking, a trigger mechanism all on its own. And then she had posted that second post about me being a fake psychic and all that. And my response to her was, I rest my case. You're attacking me for giving tarot readings. You're attacking me for giving tarot readings, insinuating that I'm some sort of charlatan attempting to fleece money from duped suckers. Completely off topic. I said, if you do not accept the veracity of tarot, that is, again, your personal business and opinion. But when you attempt to derail the discussion of the political topic at hand by attacking me for something completely unrelated to the topic being discussed in this thread, then you are the one being disingenuous. Demonstrably, you are effectively demonstrating Alinskyism at its best, the attempt to derail the discussion of the topic by attacking the other party with something you hope to make him spend his time defending, hence derailing the debate over the topic. It's a tactic, and your incorporation of it puts on very full public display how very little you actually know about me or what I do or how much tarot money I have fleeced from people over the last 39 years as a flipper of cards. Again, bravo. And then I put in Galileo's little quote from when he was in front of the Inquisition. He had to recant everything that he had learned about the movement of the planets around the sun. And he says, I recant, ask for your forgiveness, I've sinned, and so on, to save himself from being burned at the stake. And then at the very end, he said in Latin, he says, E per si muove. However, it moves, he said. So I put that at the end. So I only bring that up because the way people respond to us when we're dialoguing about stuff, I've never gone, and the only time I said stupid at all was in my response to her saying, I like to do these just to tweak stupid comments, which isn't what I was doing at all, but because I offered up a long list of, I think, reasoned responses. Yeah, no response to that one. That was a mic drop response from me or from her. Yeah, I got no response from her on it. So all of that to say, I could talk politics, but I've been politicked out the last 24 hours and I'm done talking about it. I'll have plenty to say about Kamala. I don't think she's a qualified person to be president. Just from what she's shown us over the last almost 4 years, I don't think she's qualified. She also was not somebody who her own party gave more than 1% of the vote for in the primaries in the last election. Her own party rejected her, which is why everybody was like, why did Biden just pick her for vice president? It was a DEI hire, a woman of color in the role of vice president. And all I heard on the news after that was, oh, how was it historic? What an historic appointment. What an historic election. Historic, blah, blah, blah. When all that was historic about it was the fact that she was a woman of color. You could add to that probably one of the, I'm sure this is not the first time, but what's also historic about it was she was a woman of color who didn't know how to do the job, who was not qualified for the job. Now, you are going to see, and this is the last thing I will say on this tonight before we get into the topic, because I opened the can of worms. You are going to see the Democratic Party pump her just as hard as they were pumping Joe Biden is perfectly fit for this office. up until about 3 weeks ago, when it all started coming unraveled. So it's a lie. And I don't care that it's Kamala Harris, other than I'm not going to vote for her anyway. But I still think the Democrats could put up a lot better people, much more qualified. But you know why they couldn't dump Kamala? Because Kamala was their DEI hire. She represents DEI. She represents putting a woman of color in. What did Biden say about some of his appointments? I intend my administration to be lots of women of color and people of color, and so it's like, how about people of quality? How about people who know the business? How about people who know what they're doing and can hold their own? Kamala Harris is the word salad queen, and all I can say is I would hope that if she, hopefully, what's the phrase I'm looking for? A snowball's chance in hell, wins the election. I would hope to God that she would come across a little better and that she was just playing dumb through her vice presidency. So that's all I'm going to say on that, guys. Roger Rabbit, thank you. Roger said your last response to her, shut her up with truth and facts. It's hard to swallow facts for mouth breathers. Now, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what she comes back with, if anything. So, and I at least now know who she is, and I know she's probably somebody I talked to 15 years ago. I don't know when it would have been, because I ain't out knocking doors trying to get into events as a psychic reader. As you all know, when you've heard me do my card readings, I tell you over and over again, I ain't a psychic. I said the most I have is maybe a little empathy and a little bit of intuition. I said, do you know why I use the cards? I had people like Chip Coffey told me, he says, lose the cards, Scotty. Just go with your psychic ability. I said, Chip, I don't have that kind of ability. Well, you've got it. You just have to nurture it. I said, I don't want to. I read cards because I use them as a positive, intuitive crutch. Yes, crutch. I don't want to rely on the jumble that's in my head about somebody, because I can make up a story about somebody pretty easily in my brain without even trying. I'm a storyteller. It's what I do. So I don't want to trust that. Cards will tell me what I need to know. So that's why I use cards. Hey, Griff, good to see you here. Roger Rabbit, Elderberry, good to see you. Sarah Yusuf, good to see you. And, of course, Field Guy is here. And I think that's it in the chat room so far. All the others of you who are listening, come on in. Join us. And it'll be fun. So that's it. I'm cutting off my political talk at this juncture. As Woody Allen once said, juncture. And because I don't want to get into it any deeper than I have. And 23 minutes off the top of the show is not just a light touch on politics. So let's move away from that. And I want to get into this topic here. I'm going to throw the banner up again in case you missed it. You don't know what the exact topic is. Meditation and spirit communication. Couple of mouthy long words. It sounds almost like the Ethereum and the Mysterium, and from Professor Bauer. But meditation and spirit communication. And what do we want to know about this? The reason I came up with this topic, I was going to do a lighter topic tonight to break away from politics. And it's because I sat with a good friend of mine yesterday, and she had called and needed some help moving some boxes into her new place. So she put out a general call to her friends list. I said, hey, and she's helped us a lot with stuff, Rainey and I. And I said, hey, I'm on my way. And so I went over and helped her for an hour and a half to 2 hours, just moving some boxes. And we sat on her front patio and we were talking. And she was talking about her trying to really revitalize her spirituality. And she's got, I don't want to give her business out. That's why I'm not giving her name or anything like that. But she was talking about her ex that she had broken up with. They're divorced. um, and how that he's still constantly there in her mind, and how that um, what's the Meatloaf song? Um, it's something about I canceled you out at the slamming of the door, you know, and you never crossed my mind again after that. But this song is but when you touch me like this, when I see you like that, it was a lost long ago, but it's all coming back to me. Now, that's the way I saw her yesterday. And she's been out meditating. She was out meditating in the woods by the river. And she told me, I see him. Yeah, it's a Celine Dion song. But it was written by Meatloaf. And Meatloaf, did he sing it with her? No, she sang a solo version of that. Meatloaf sang it with, or the original version sang it with somebody else. Look that up. It's just powerful. I loved Meatloaf's passion in his music, and it's all very present in that song. And um, so she said, I sat out there and I've connected with him. She says, I've had whole conversations with him in spirit, in meditation. And so we got to talking about that possibility. Can you do that? Can you connect with somebody spiritually through meditation? Meditation bringing on a certain kind of telepathy. Can you communicate that way? And then the further question, can you communicate with your spirit guides through meditation? Now, we've talked plenty about meditation on this particular channel. And there are all kinds of benefits to telepathy. I'm sorry, to meditation. And the first thing you have to do is realize that the need to meditate is present in every human being because it's a natural tendency of human life to look for a joy that doesn't diminish and a love that doesn't turn into negative emotions. Meditation is a tool to reach such a state. It's a way we clear ourselves of all the garbage around us and focus on something. Focus by not focusing. We're made of matter, but we are also made of spirit. And our body is made up of carbohydrates, amino acids, proteins, all of that stuff, etc. But our consciousness or our spirit is made of joy, of energy, of enthusiasm, peace, happiness, and all the beautiful qualities that make us who we are. And why is it not negative qualities that make us who they are? They do. But it's these positive things that make us a joyful, energetic, enthusiastic, peaceful, happy spirit. And, science says the jury's out on consciousness. That's because to admit that there is consciousness, there is a tacit admittal that there is spirit or soul, even. Sarah Yusuf's got some good stuff going on here. She says it's a cord cutting attachments. And meditation encourages certain mental states. It does. And influences do not define who we are. Right. So, as we're looking at this, what can we do if we want to make certain connections? Are there certain connections that are good for us to make while we're doing the meditative thing? And I've got a few things I want us to look at. 26 things in all that are kind of some of it is rehashing some of the things we've talked about, not getting into so much the technique of meditating, but what it does for us. And I've got here 17 spiritual benefits of meditation for us and how to reach out to our spirit guides, the spirits around us. What is spirituality? It gives us all this strength. inner strength to manage difficult situations and to keep us ever smiling. Not that we have to smile all the time. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. But what's meditation? It's the journey from movement to stillness, from sound to silence. What was it that Elijah said in the Old Testament? That God put him in the cleft of the rock, and he says, at first there were the whirlwind went by, but God was not in the whirlwind. Then the fires went by, and the earthquake, and God was not in the fire or the earthquake. And it says, and then there was that still small voice. And that's where he found God, and that's where God spoke to him. So beyond all the chatter and the noise in our minds, there's a silent, peaceful, blissful, beautiful space that exists in all of us, a place that's intact and unbroken. And, we talk about this stuff. We get almost sing-songy with it, which I don't like, and I don't like to do. I don't like to sound like I'm spewing new age bullshit. It frankly turns me off when I read this stuff. And yet there's a certain quality about saying, yeah, there is love that wraps everything up. But how do we look at that without becoming sing-songy about it? Oh, it's all about love and blissful hummingbirds. What if we don't like hummingbirds? What if we don't need it to always be blissful? We want, we want Slipknot concerts. That's not peaceful and blissful. So meditation is the food for the soul. When you're hungry, spontaneously you go eat something. You're thirsty, you want to drink water. And in the same way, the soul yearns for meditation. And this tendency is in everyone. And if you aren't meditating, if you aren't trying to find a way to learn this, I thought of this once before because I was walking in a park once, and I don't remember who with, probably Rainey or the kids. And there was somebody meditating over there, sitting on the shore of the lake and meditating. We were on the path. What's she doing, Dad? Shh. I said, just leave her be still. She's meditating. We look at that stuff sometimes and we go, we'll respect it, but 9 out of 10 people don't do it. But isn't this something to cleanse ourselves, to quiet ourselves, to quiet the noise of everything? There was a Christmas song that just popped into my mind by Michael Card. You and me, we use so very many clumsy words. The noise of what we often say is not worth being heard. When the Father's wisdom wanted to communicate his love, he spoke it in one final perfect word. And then the chorus says, he spoke the incarnation, and then so was born the Son. His final word was Jesus, and you can tell it's a Christian song. He was the only one. Spoke flesh and blood so he could bleed and make a way divine. And so was born the baby who would die to make it mine. And he goes on in his other verses, but I thought it was a very profound things that he wrote in his songs about how we use so many words. Look at me doing this show. I have developed over the last 22 years of doing radio, 24 years of doing radio, the need to not have lots of long pauses. Because on air, when we were on air on radio stations, you pause for 2 seconds. Listen to this. This is what it sounds like. You go, 4 seconds later, I come back in with this. It sounds like an eternity on air. And so I learned you got to cover your butt vocally and verbally on radio. So I'm always talking. You know me here. If I don't have guests on and I'm just doing the talking, I talk and talk and talk and talk. I talk a blue streak until we take a break or we call a guest in and they start talking with me. So I say lots of words. My own daughter, I was meeting with somebody from one of the local centers around here that teaches kids. We were talking about the fact that I'm doing readings and presenting my books and art at the local library here in a couple of weeks. And she said, I would love to have you in here. And she goes, what's this book about? And she asked about the sword and the clay. And so I gave her a little background of it. And Ellery's with me, my 9-year-old, and the woman seemed intent to me. She had great eye contact, and we were talking. Oh, and we're going, and my daughter just pipes up at one point. She goes, my dad talks a lot. And everybody laughed, of course. So, Sarah, I believe you. She says, believe it or not, just love isn't enough. I agree with you, and we'll get there. You keep typing what you want to type about this, too. And she said, Sarah says in the chat room, people need to be open, but still sensible and careful of the types of connections that are formed. This is very true. Are you talking spiritual connections or the connections you're making with other people? Probably both. So the peak, the most supreme type of prayer is meditation. I know in the 70s when I was in the church, we were told, transcendental meditation. That's opening your mind to allow room for Satan, the devil, to come into your mind. But now at the time, my aunt was a flower child, a hippie, the literal hippie flower child, musician, make love, not war, and type. And she was a big believer in meditation. She and some of the people she had around her house all meditated. But at the time I was being told in my church that that's sin, because you're opening the door for Satan to come into your mind. And I said, I didn't see anybody acting too satanically. It's supposed to be for purifying yourself. To prayer. It says in the Bible itself, David, the King David, he said, I pray without ceasing, and he's constantly meditating on God. But all powers are hidden within yourself, and everything's going to manifest when you connect to your consciousness. Being silent, knowing that the divine is taking care of everything, that's the best form of prayer. And the best prayer is meditation. And so why meditate? What are the benefits of meditation? I keep talking about this. Why should we do it? We've talked about how to do it and things like that and what it does for you. But you look at things like yoga and meditation. They're simple but very effective tools to keep yourself stress-free. And a little practice on a regular basis keeps you in touch with your inner depth. And apart from giving this very palpable sense of health and well-being, it helps you deal with situations and challenges a whole hell of a lot better than you would without it. Your people handling skills improve as you listen more and more to your inner voice for guidance. You're able to make decisions with a clearer mind, and your intuition improves. The benefits of and by intuition, I mean just day-to-day people interaction intuition. Sarah Youssef is saying here, controls body energy and hormone production. How about that? I've got written down here, it keeps you physically fit and healthy mentally, focused and sane. Intellectually, it brings sharpness, keenness of attention, awareness, observation. That's the result of meditating. Emotionally, you feel lighter, softer, purer. You can let go of all the past garbage, and it creates a positive vibration around you, influencing your behavior with other people and others' behavior with you. Meditation is food for the soul. It's that drink of cold water for the thirsty soul. It nurtures the core of your existence, clarity of mind, and purity of heart. are the byproducts of meditation. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you become puritanical and that you are, it's a humble. It's not haughty. It doesn't puff itself up. And there's a significant body of research how meditation gives the deepest rest in the shortest time. There's research on how meditation helps improve conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, heart problems, sleep disorders, nervous system disorders, among others. And look, folks, I'm telling you things we've all heard before, but I want to also, along with this, encourage you to put it to the test. Do it for a month. Take 30 days. And for as many days as you can, take 10 minutes a day, if that's all you got. Meditate. Clear. So we've talked about how to do it. We'll get into that maybe in another time if you need to hear that. But here are some spiritual benefits. Number one, I got 17 of them here. Number one, a more even, balanced, and grounded sense of being. Regular meditation brings a balance between your heart and your mind, and it makes you both sensitive, it makes you sensible, and it's the confluence of knowledge, understanding, and practice makes life complete. And when you grow into higher states of consciousness through meditation, you're going to find that you're no longer thrown off balance by different situations and disturbances. A regular meditation practice can transform the quality of your life by culturing the whole nervous system to maintain peace and energy and expanded awareness through the day. And you become beautiful yet strong. Like I say, you become peaceful yet dangerous, which we talked about the other day a little bit. Capable of accommodating different challenges in life without question. This is what meditation does for us. It clears us and it instills peacefulness in us. Doesn't mean I don't get pissed off at something every now and then. This is where I break with the sing-songy new aginess, the new agey gobbledygook that's out there. I part ways with it because it sounds so insane at times. So I'm saying meditation it's like exercise. If you don't exercise your body, what happens to it? Not very many of us are naturally fit without doing something to keep the fitness. As we grow old, which I experience every day, the older I get, things start to fall apart a little bit. Things don't work quite as well as they used to. Your brain doesn't snap as sharp sometimes, but there's things that we can do to keep that fitness going, and meditation is one of those things for the soul or the spirit, the consciousness. All right. Number two, a deep experience of inner stillness, peace, and contentment is one of the other benefits on a spiritual side of meditation. Our minds can affect our surroundings. Did you not know that? I look at when I am the most stressed or I'm out of sorts about something, my whole world is shitty. And I can make the whole world in my house shitty because I have a shitty outlook on something, or because I'm pissy about something, or because I'm fed up with something. My attitude creates an attitude in my family and those around me. So I change my environment by meditating. And only a peaceful and happy person can spread happiness. How do you spread happiness and peacefulness and joy and all of those wonderful words unless you're experiencing it? So meditation creates ripples of what we call happiness and peace within us, which then it spreads out like the rock in the pond scenario. Multiple waves all around our immediate world and the world around us. And a better you makes better vibrations and energy and people around you better. 3, a personally radiating and unsinkable smile, love, calmness, serenity. Now, I don't always trust people that are always smiling. Hey, how you doing? You know, that to me, somebody who comes across too serene, too calm, too smiley, it's like sometimes you just want to punch them in the face. I'm sorry, I don't mean that in a violent way. I mean that in a human nature way. Meditation brings you to a state of being where nothing can rob you of the smile that's in your heart. I don't care what it is. If you've got peace here, it's going to exude and cover all things. Doesn't mean you won't get frustrated. Doesn't mean you won't get angry. Doesn't mean you won't frown now and then. It means that you are operating from something that is at your core. There was an old song in the youth group when I was a kid in the youth group, singing songs in the church. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. And it goes on and on. And it was just one of those little ditties we sang in the youth group. I got joy like a mountain. I've got peace like a river. I've got this and that and the other thing. And so by resting and releasing all the toxins, the negative emotions stored within us, each cell becomes so alive that our smiles are unshakable in the face of the event that happens to involve us. It's like, do you remember the movie that came out? This came out about a year or two before Rainey and I started dating. Because I remember I would get, it was before Scotch and Cookies on Thursdays at my house. We had a show. I did a showing in my living room of What the Bleep Do I Know? What the Bleep Do We Know? Something. There was a second movie that came out after that. It was a movie that really talked about the things that we take in, the things that we dwell on. We build those brainial neural nets. And so we can take old pains, we can take old obstacles, and we keep reinforcing them rather than breaking them down. When we reinforce those, we create those neural nets. Those are the first things that happen to us. And that's where our mind stays and we get trapped in it. It takes a lot to break those neural nets. And I did that, by the way, on a Thursday night at my house. And then we showed one of the other ones after that. The Secret, I think, was the other one. I don't remember much about The Secret, but I remember the What the Bleep Do We Know? And it was a good film, and it got us all together. It got us all thinking about this. And so that's something we can release those toxins. Can you see a toxin? Can you look at me and go, whoa, there's a toxin right there under your skin. It's crawling. No, we can see it in our attitudes. We can see it in the way we act. We can see it in other people. You know toxic people. You know any toxic people? Do people ever look at you and think you are a toxic person? So, I hear there are things, some of the things that I say you can't offend me. I am unoffendable because you have to appropriate offense in order for it to do anything to you. But I can sometimes get over concerned with how people react to me, because if I hear something negative, I think, am I putting that energy out there? What do I need to do to not do that? Because as you all know me here on this radio show, I can be very positive and effervescent and enlightening. I can be bababji. But on the other hand, I can be foul and I can be mean and I can be nasty because I get caught up in something that's grabbed me by the nads and makes me angry. So I am somebody who's a great lover and a great man of peace, but also somebody who knows how to punch somebody in the throat if they need it, even if I'm not supposed to be doing that. So there's that. So I need this. I'm like they say, I'm pointing a finger, but I got 4 pointing back at me. So number 4, a heightened sense of spiritual awakening and freedom comes from meditation. A snake sheds its skin and it moves on with brand new skin. And if cats or dogs have water on themselves, they shake it off. Caterpillars, worm-like creatures, they form a cocoon around themselves and emerge as a whole new animal. Glorious, colorful butterfly. Oh, butterflies, peaceful birds singing. That's what I mean. It starts to get sing-songy after a while, but you know where I'm going. However, we tend to carry out our emotional baggage for years. How many of you have, if you stopped and thought about it, I got emotional baggage, I'm carrying it. How many of you have that? This woman this morning that said the things she said to me negatively, I will guarantee you that's a woman that's got some emotional baggage. And I try to never operate out of my baggage. Although I remember we used to call some women, we used to call them saucy baggages. Remember when we were doing the Red Coat Rendezvous, and we had the guy that was playing sentry at our camp, two young lasses dressed in 18th century clothing, Rev War era. They came up to our camp and he says, "Halt!" He's got his musket. He says something like, "What is your business, you two saucy baggages?" And that stuck with me ever since. So, saucy baggages. Anyway, you have baggage. Meditation can awaken you. It can spiritually wake you up. And it helps us to shed our old attachments and our old baggages, the things that hold us back so readily. I'm just talking about that in some of my readings this week over on my TikTok. It's like we get held up by the past. The Six of Cups card. It's got the two children and the 6 golden goblets. It's a card of nostalgia, but it's also a card that says don't get stuck back there. Be nostalgic, learn from it, but if you get stuck back there, you may not get out. You need to actively break the lineage to the past errors, the past hurts, the past pains. Sometimes past happinesses. We can be even nostalgic about a happy thing that happened back there and spend all of our time trying to recreate something that was happy for us back then because those were the good days. I wish it was like that. And we keep trying to recreate that, but that's not for now. That was for then. You have to learn from the past and bring it up and move into your future. So with regular practice, it's all going to begin to feel normal. And you'll only carry around what's necessary. Use meditation to free yourself from within. The profound peace and bliss that you experience with daily meditation are unparalleled. Meditation can lead you into a deep state of, what's called, it's a little new agey, but this samadhi, and inner freedom or enlightenment. I'm going to leave that one there. Number 5 out of 17. We're making progress. Increased awareness and mindfulness comes from meditation. Mindfulness is meditative awareness. When you're mindful, there's a sudden shift within you. And with meditation practice, we develop mindfulness that all that happens around us is ever changing and that we are a witness to this play of events. So a mindfulness, it's like that being awake and realizing that life is the dream and you are awake from it. Number 6 is the ability to live in the present moment. How many of us live in the present moment? My wife, God bless her soul, she is a worrier. She's got anxieties. And her living in the moment, she's the most wonderful person, the funnest person. She just makes me laugh when I see how happy she is in the moment, when she lets go of the other stuff she worries about, the stuff about the future, the stuff about the past. And she'll sit and she's got this great laugh. I just absolutely love her laugh. And that's when she can break free and she's happy in that moment. But have you ever observed what's happening in your mind every moment? It vacillates between the past and the future. And it's either in the past, occupied with what's happened in the past, or it's in the future thinking about what's going to happen. That's what our minds do. That's the tendency. There's another tendency of the mind. It clings on to the negative. You ever notice that? How much positive do you cling to compared to how much negative you cling to? How about that? Have you thought about that? It clings on to the negative. If 10 positive events are followed by one negative event, the mind will cling on to the negative. I said cling on. Kapla. The mind is going to cling to the negative. And it's simply going to forget the 10 positive events. You don't think that's so? Look, search your mind. Search your mind. You know it's true. And so with meditation, however, you can become aware of these two tendencies of the mind. And you can bring the mind to the present. Happiness, joy, enthusiasm, efficiency, effectiveness are all in the present. And when you culture your mind with meditation, its tendency of holding on to negative emotions simply disappears. It does. Trust me. The tendency to hold on to the negative disappears. I've always tried to live my life that way. The only time I get really negative is when I'm talking politics, because I get so fed up with the absurd gymnastics of the imagination that go on with politics. But I have found that when I meditate, and when I have a natural tendency, I've got a personality that's like this anyway, of trying to say, let's rise above that, everybody. When our family gets really dark and brooding and negative, oh, hey, everybody, let's shake loose of this bullshit. Let's get out of this funk. Let's go do something. Let's do this. Let's do that. And Rainey has to do that sometimes too. And she's not an innately positive person. Don't get me wrong. She's not a Debbie Downer. But my wife is not innately positive. She's innately a worrier. I tend to be innately the opposite. I don't worry as much. But I have my moments. She's got her moments of where she says, let's just go for a walk. Let's go walk the dog. Or let's go to the park. Let's go dig for rocks. They're building a new, what do you call it? Cul-de-sac subdivision. And they've got all the ground dug up. And she said, let's go over there and dig for agates. You wouldn't believe this stuff we find here in farmland in Wisconsin. All the fossils in little rocks, seashells, agates, things like that. And so that's something that we do things like that, and it cleanses your mind. It's almost like a meditation. Not quite the meditation, but it's meditating on something to get us away from the clutter of our brains. So when you culture your mind with meditation, its tendency of holding on to the negative emotions starts to dissipate. You gain the ability to start living in the present moment. You're able to let go of the past. Half of our problems are not letting go of our pasts. Number 7, a sense of inner bliss that is independent of outer circumstances. And so the quality of our life depends on the quality of our minds. We can't control what happens on the outside, but we do have a say over the quality of our mind. No matter what's going on, if your mind is okay, everything is okay. I used to be told that you can only find that in Jesus. And I'm not mocking it. That's what is taught in theology. He's the only one. God and Jesus are the only one who will give you that peace of mind. And I know a hell of a lot of believing Christians that are tormented in mind over all kinds of things. It's the meditation. Number 8, be a strong and genuine sense, or have a strong and genuine sense of who you are. Remember Mufasa, the ghost Mufasa up in the clouds? And Simba looks and Mufasa says, remember who you are. And meditation can bring about a true personal transformation. As you learn more about yourself, you're probably going to start discovering more about yourself and start loving yourself. As you grow deeper in your own meditation practice, you start experiencing an effortless transition from being something to merging with the infinite and recognizing yourself as an inseparable part of the whole cosmos. Now, I haven't gotten to that place yet. I don't see myself as, I am an inseparable piece of the whole cosmos. I don't go around thinking that. Although maybe deep down, I kind of know that. I have lots of theological junk that clashes with all of that, so I still struggle with some of that. The ninth thing, you become, one of the spiritual benefits of meditation, you become at ease and natural wherever you go with whomever you're with. When someone attains a deep state of meditation, it gives this access to energy and long-lasting bliss. And so when one can relate to the self, relating to everybody else becomes instinctive, and negative emotions like sadness, depression, loneliness, they vanish. They dissipate. You start radiating positivity, peacefulness, love, all of those things. And if you're loving, then you're welcome everywhere in the world. If you feel and are at one with the people anywhere you go, then people readily are there to do anything for you and with you. I noticed that when I went to Egypt and have been in Honduras and other third world countries, that people, I have this positivity I try to exude. I don't walk around in fear. I don't walk around in negativity, but it draws people to you. Number 10, a strong sense of belonging and connection to all. In a meditative state, you're in a space of vastness, calmness. And there's this joy, and this is what you emit to the environment. You bring harmony to the creation around you and to the planet around you. I don't know if you just said this. Yeah, you did less than a minute ago, I think, Sarah. You use and build energetic constructs like a person to builds a recipe. You're right. Sarah said that over in the chat room, where if you're not in the chat room, you could be there contributing. Pretty soon, we're going to open this up and you can call in too. So a strong sense of belonging, connection to all. Number 11 is well-bonded, nurturing, fulfilling relationships are one of the keen benefits on a spiritual aspect of meditating. And the key to a happy relationship is based on how we handle our minds. This is why we all have to regularly practice our meditation. We have to learn how to calm our minds and relax, even if for a few moments every day. If each one of us can manage to broaden our vision just a little bit, we can all bring such great transformation in our lives that we're going to become happy and also bring happiness to the lives of other people around us. Think about who you like to be with and why you choose them as companions. Are the ones you love happy and joyful, or sad and depressed? Contented, cheerful, and upbeat? Or are they a drudgery to be around? I'm not saying there aren't people we don't love, despite the fact that they have those qualities about them. I'm saying, who do you like to hang with? Whose energy do you like to be around? People that are up and positive and happy. So similarly, hello, similarly, when we're happy, our personality reflects our happiness. And others look to us for good company. I want to be around you because you make me happy. Not create happiness in me. You're somebody I look to. I like to be with you because it makes me happy to be around your happiness. Good company. And so these interactions are another area of life where meditation helps. Practice with the intention of becoming the best version of yourself, which will attract other people and other positive thinking friends to you like a magnet. Now, does that mean, like I look at what I do? I talk about politics and I have strict opinions about something. I'm open to talking to people, but not open to changing my mind uh, on the important things. Little things, tons of little things along the way I can change my mind on. But does that make me fun to be around? Well, I'm fun in every other aspect, and I deliver. You can deliver a hardline message about something, and you can be convinced of something and teach something a certain way and still be a happy person doing it. And meditation can bring about a balance between the different states of the mind. You can learn to switch from the tough aspect to the gentler aspect within you. You can be firm when appropriate and at the same time let go when needed. This ability to present is present within everybody. And meditation enables you and me to switch between these states effortlessly. Number 12 of 17. Greater feelings of abundance and security, generosity, and gratitude come from meditation. When there's gratitude, there's never going to be lack of anything. Meditation is this natural way to foster gratitude consciously. When gratitude is nurtured, the feeling of abundance follows. It's the whole idea, of being content. Gratitude. When you're gracious or you have gratitude, you're content. And there's many times I've said in our own family, we've got to be content with this. If we're not content, we're going to be constantly unhappy, scratching our way into contentment. Create your contentment. It's like the little cartoon of the stick men, and one of them's holding a jar, and on the jar it says happiness. It's like a big pickle jar. He's got a big smile. The other stick man has a frown, and he says, "Oh, I've been looking for that my whole life." Jar of happiness. And the other stick figure says back, "I made this myself." I mean, it's that simple. JP sucks at meditating, he says, over in the chat room. Here, let me quote him. I suck at meditating. Me too, JP. I suck at it too. I got to work hard at meditating. You know why? I don't mean this to sound braggadocious, but I have an analytical brain. And trying to not be analytical while I'm trying to meditate is really hard for me. And then I find when I finally have attained meditation, guess what happens? I fall asleep. I'm so cleared. But you're right. It's a hard thing to do. What else do you get? Number 13, more compassion and kindness, forgiveness. Oof, that's a big one. I have really worked my whole life very hard at being a person who can forgive. I heard one wag put it this way once: forgiveness is my giving up my right to hurt you for hurting me. Yeah, that's just one aspect of forgiveness. Giving up my right to hurt you for hurting me. And God knows I've been many times in a place of needing forgiveness. And I thought, if I am not a forgiving person, why should I deserve to be forgiven? There's been so many times in my life, there's been some major events in my life where somebody has come to me and said, I've craved your forgiveness for a very long time. Could you ever forgive me? And my response was, maybe not word for word, but something like, that, that was done a long time ago. We just weren't around with each other to experience it. And my ex-wife was one of those. As you all know, I'm on my third marriage with Rainey. Third marriage in 40 years. And Rainey and I have been together almost 20 of those years. I was together with my first wife for 6 years, and my older children's mother for 12 years. And then Rainey for now 19 years we've been together. And in that 42-year period, I was musing with my ex-wife the other day, my first wife. May 28th was our wedding day, 1982. May 28th, 1982. And when May 28th comes around, I just have old memories on Facebook that pop up of our old wedding pictures or something. And Rainey is perfectly fine with this. She knows my ex, very friendly with us all. And I always put up a little reminder. Hey, guess what? This year we'd have been married 42 years this year on May 28th. So it's a long time ago. So, yeah, all the intrusive thoughts, that's right, JP, come up. So we have more compassion, more kindness, more forgiveness. But it was my ex-wife that she left the marriage 6 years after we were married. I was an innocent, quote unquote, young seminary student, former seminary student, ministry bound, working with the youth group, all this. And she was a executive at IBM. And I've told this story before, so I'm not going to give the long version, but she wanted out. She wanted a divorce. And I said, I don't want a divorce. I said, I don't understand where you're coming from. Typical guy. And it was over in 5 weeks. We had no kids. We had a house, but her grandmother had given us a down payment for the house, so it's just naturally hers. I took my stereo, my Papazon, and my car, and my clothes, and that was it. That's all I took out of that marriage. And we did not talk for 19 years. I take that back. There was one time a couple of months in where I had a box of her stuff that she wondered if something of hers was in it. And she stopped by my new condominium, and she came in and was looking for, so we talked for a few minutes and then she left. And I didn't talk to her for 19 years. Just no communication. And after that 19 years, so you take 1988, tack 19 years onto that. It was 2007. Yeah, because Rainey and I, no, it was 2008 she called me. Because Rainey and I were just going through our first wedding anniversary. And she called me. She didn't announce who she was. Now it's been 19 years. And she said, I'll bet you don't know who this is. And she has a very articulate voice. I hadn't heard her voice in 19 years and I recognized it. I said, I'll bet you I do. I said, how you doing? And we got to talking and so on. And she said she went through her 12-step program 7 years earlier. And she said, I did my making of amends and all that. And she said, but there's one person I've been holding off talking to, and it was you. And she said, I have been the most nervous about this phone call. And I said, let me put you at ease. I said, just say whatever you need to say. And she proceeded to apologize for the shit she put me through and the stuff and all this. And she says, I really need your forgiveness if you're willing to give it. And I said, Suzanne, I said, guess what? You already have it. You've had it for 19 years. I said, all I want to know is, are you happy? That was my response to her. And then it just cracked it open and it wide open. Then we had our first anniversary was out at the ranch, and Suzanne and her wife, she's lesbian now. And I don't think I turned her lesbian. I think that was part of the problems in our marriage. And she came out with her wife, and they had 5 adopted children that came out with them to the ranch, played with my kids. So it was it's interesting, but get back to the point. Number 13, you get more compassion, more kindness, more forgiveness. It's not something that comes naturally in me, although I'm a more positive person than some people I know. It's something that comes when you nurture it, when you meditate, when you cleanse your system. 14, an increase in creativity and out-of-the-box thinking comes from meditating. Creativity surfaces when you meditate. Creativity is the core of our personality as individuals, but sometimes it gets suppressed or it gets hidden or it gets tamped down. And as your mind calms down, creativity can calmly and confidently surface. And when we clear the turbulent, cloudy, muddied waters of our minds, we can see down to the bottom. Inside all of us is a well of creative resources and possibilities. We just sometimes have to clear the muck out of the way, the seaweed of our junk. Number 15 of 17, we're almost there. We become more resilient and greater ability and create a greater ability to handle stress and uncertainty when we meditate. Most hardworking adults wait for months to go on vacation, but meditation allows you to go on vacation within yourself every day. Believe it or not, the practice rejuvenates you until you feel fresh and relaxed because you know the results. You take the time to close the doors of your daily chatter and spend a few minutes with yourself. And by the way, going on vacation sometimes makes some people come home more stressed. So it isn't all about the vacation. But after a peaceful meditation session, you're going to feel energized and ready to calmly take on whatever challenges come your way. JP, you say it's tough for you to meditate. It's tough for me to meditate. What's the best way to do it? You just clear yourself. That's how I start every time. And I do that when I do readings. I don't do them so much on the radio when I do that, but when I'm doing readings and I want to shuffle, I just clear myself. And I concentrate and I feel pressure right here. And I've always seen that for years and years and years, decades. I've seen this feeling I get here is like an opening of the third eye. I would almost, when you blink your eyes and you can kind of see the impressions of your eyes in your eyelids, I would get that here. I would see that third eye there and I would feel a little pressure. I don't know if that's what it was. That's what my mental state made me do. You do it and you make it happen and it works. 16 is you have increased acceptance. Meditation calms our minds. And when the mind is calm, you have better acceptance. You can act rather than react. And if you don't accept, you're so jittery and agitated. Whatever action you take, you're going to regret. And that's why acceptance is essential. Meditation helps us to accept people and situations as they are. Doesn't mean we lose our opinions. It doesn't mean we don't exhibit tough love when we need to. It means it helps us accept people where they are. I have to say this. When I was in ministry and we were preaching Jesus, coming to Jesus and all of that, I would say to people that I had some guy tell me, and it's more than once, I'm too foul a person. I'm too great a sinner for God to love me. And I said, oh, man. I said, do you realize, and I understand that this is a different kind of view of God that's evolved along the way. But when I was in church work, I said, do you realize that God is there, Jesus, if you will, with open arms to accept you as you are? That's what I would tell people. That's what popped into my mind here. That we'd say, we have an idea of how to be accepting when we meditate. I can accept you just like you are, and situations as they are, because I found a way to develop acceptance and to calm my mind. And 17, the final one, the final thing that is one of the spiritual benefits of meditation, it gives us a glimpse of infinity, eternity, if you will. Every cell in our body has the ability to hold infinity. However, limiting concepts in our minds impede us from perceiving our infinite potential. And so when we culture and purify our consciousness through the process of meditation, we take a dip in the ocean of spiritual bliss and experience deep rest. So, in other words, we can easily tap into the timeless energy that surrounds us, resulting in a strong feeling of calm and assurance. So, I would encourage you to meditate now and connect. Not now, this minute, while I'm still talking, but meditate now and connect to your spirit. Find a quiet place. Sit easily and comfortably. Get ready for a guided spiritual meditation. Have your mind take you through the steps you need and guide you to that place where you're clearing yourself and looking and working on the journey within. It's like I've talked about when I was talking about if you wanted to meet the Fae and elementals and so on. It might be a dangerous thing for some people to undertake. But at the same time, it's like go to a place in the woods that you're drawn to. It doesn't have to be foresty. It just has to be a place where you feel disconnected from the busyness around you. Choose that place and just sit in quiet and meditate there. You start doing that, you're going to see things. You're going to have things happening. And you could open yourself up to communicating with the spirit world. Spirit world just doesn't mean just ghosts. So get that clear. So there you go. That is, I think, the spiritual benefit. And there's so much more. I got so many other things here. That's all we had time to do with this. If you guys want to call in, we're going to go to the captain's cabin in a minute here. And I'm going to give you right now, we'll put it in the chat rooms. I'm going to copy the address you need to paste into your browser in order to come into the chat room or come in and chat with me, you'll appear down here. You can come on camera, or you can just come on in audio, whichever you prefer. So there it is. Let's go out and take a little break, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. So all of you, I just want to say thanks for being here. If you got to go now, then go. Take off. If you can stick around, stay put. We'll be right back. Live long and prosper.
The Intrepid Radio Program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Hey folks, this is Scotty Roberts, and this is the Intrepid Radio broadcast. I've been broadcasting for about 20 years now, covering such topics as science, politics, the paranormal, weird science, weird world history, archaeology, and the paranormal. Everything from ghosts to cryptids to creepy things that go bump in the night. So every week I bring you 3 new episodes. Come and join my channel and also be a patron to this site. So see the details below, and we'll see you here.
Dave, I love you, brother.
I miss you too.
I miss you too, I heard.
Yep,
Did you guys hear that?
I heard that.
I miss you, Dave.
All right. Step right up, come right up, speak your mind, line up, call in. If you saw that link posted in the chat room, come on in. It's your time to call, your time to enjoy pontificating about these things or other things if you so desire. So come on in and we'll talk. This is open for you. And if we don't get anybody calling, we may just we'll ditch out of here earlier, and that's fine. Then I got other things I can do. I can go watch a movie with my kids or a late night movie. My brother-in-law is here and overnight and hanging out here today, and so I could go up there and hang with them. And so I got stuff to do. You probably got stuff to do too. You want to come in here? Come on in. You can make it. So, what about you? Are you gonna start working on your meditation skills? Do you think that's something you want to try? Do you think it would benefit you? Do you think it's something that would enhance your life? Give it a shot. Why not? Hold on. Sam is asking me a question. Can't see my keyboard without one, my glasses, and two, my whatever I did with them. And my light reflects up there, reflects perfectly off my black keyboard and whitewashes out all the letters. I got to sit over them like this to see them or turn off the light. So I don't want to have a weak finish tonight. So if there's nobody calling in, nobody wants to talk about this stuff, then we can all take off. We can all do our own thing. It's now 10:30. I want to tell you I appreciate you all being here, taking your time, showing up. And I will be doing a Robertson tomorrow with Wendy Robertson. Tomorrow. Oh, sure. JP comes in. There you go. I should have just hung up. Jason, how you doing?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
I don't want you to get the impression I didn't want you to call.
Well, I'm also in the middle of trying to do all of the, just got back from 5 days on the road kind of stuff. So,
right.
Loading up
Sarah, come in.
Loading up the laundry and all of that. Say again?
Sarah asked, do you want me to come in? Well, yeah, of course.
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't we? Hello.
Hello.
McFly. No.
Yeah. Hello.
Come on in, Sarah.
Come on in.
Yeah, no, it's just been
Hey, Terry Pitts. How you doing, sir? No, Terry Pitts, Robert Pitts. over in the chat room. That's Terry Pitts.
Anytime that you say Terry Pitts, my brain immediately goes to a radio station out of Cincinnati. It's 700 WLW, and they had this guy who was on there as one of the hosts of several shows.
Yeah.
A lot of them revolved around sports, but some of it was politics,
Sure.
whatever, local stuff. The guy's name was Gary Burbank.
Gary Burbank.
Yeah, I think he has probably since retired. I could be wrong. I would have to ask my dad,
Burgundy.
since Dad listens to 700 WLW religiously, or at least he used to. But he had this character that he would do named Earl Pitts,
Earl Pitts.
American Redneck.
Nice.
And so every time you say something about like, oh, Terry Pitts, da, 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 my brain immediately goes to Earl Pitts.
Terry is from Virginia, so he's got a Virginia accent. I don't know that he's a redneck, though.
But yeah, he would always have this thing where he'd be like, you know what makes me sick? You know what makes me so angry I could splice barbed wire with my teeth? And it would go into launch into some, goofy story. And then when he'd get to the end of it, it'd be like, wake up, America.
Wake up, America.
And go into this whole thing. And Dad and I would always just laugh and get the biggest kick
Yes.
out of Earl Pitts, American Redneck.
He is no redneck, Terry says. He is no redneck.
Yeah.
I never perceived you as being one, Terry. So,
but yeah. So no. I've just been I've been doing all the post trip stuff, which is
yes,
why I am, backwards hat, t-shirt.
Oh yes.
Not the normally reasonably coiffed hair.
See, this is the quintessential Jason Patrick. He is like, oh, don't you know what I'm about right now? I'm in my post-trip mode. My hat is backwards, and I have a T-shirt on. Of course, I would be post-trip. So that's his post-trip gear he's wearing tonight. So, Sarah,
basically.
Oh, Sarah.
I'm here.
How you doing?
Yeah, I hear you click-clacking away.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
So what's going on in your world?
Just life is busy. Busy. Just getting ready for my big trip to London. So, and getting everything packed and stressing out about that and what I'm forgetting and not forgetting. So
I mean, you're not already packed. We've had these discussions where you've given me.
I am 98% packed, but there's always that last 2%, that you have to grab the day of, like your brushes, your medication, all that stuff. So I have to make sure I have enough of everything and, make sure somebody's there to take care of stuff and, I don't come back home.
So where are you going?
Plants.
Where are you
London.
Going? London.
Johnny old England.
Dun, 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 dun. I know people in London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we all know people in London.
Yeah, you should meet up with Wendy.
I might not have enough time because I'm just there for 5 to 7 days. But
so what are you going to do? Just sightsee?
No, I've been there a couple times. So it's for I have a sick aunt over there, so her dementia is getting pretty bad. So this is going to be
I'm sorry to hear that.
A bit of a downer of a trip, and kind of the last hurrah. She's in her high 80s, and then she survived cancer 4 times. So I mean, she's a tough old bird.
Wow.
So
you need to get out of my head because that's exactly what I was going to say. The tough old bird bit.
Tough old bird.
Yeah, if we're sharing headspace, then you're in a bad shape, JP.
You guys, you two sharing headspace.
So that meditative connection, right? So,
That's it.
So.
That's it. By the way, anybody joining us late, we've kind of, our numbers have dropped as the show's halfway through the show and down. This is just the falling action part of the show. I mean,
it's because I'm here to kill the room.
So, you're here to heal the wounds.
Kill the room. What?
Kill the room. I thought you said heal the wound.
No.
So, no, you don't kill the room. It was already.
Room?
It had already declined a little bit as we get toward the end of the show. We get to about 10 o'clock, between 10 and 10:15, we can lose half our people because they're going to bed or
have lives and you have to go to work the next day.
That's right. That's right.
I do not. I took tomorrow off.
I don't have to work tomorrow. I took tomorrow off.
I do have to log in and deal with travel documents from when I went TDY to Langley, though. Yay! I hate the defense travel system. That is the worst website ever. Yeah.
Gross.
Well, you know how the government loves their paperwork, so.
Right.
Yeah. What do I have tomorrow? I have to take Flynn to the dentist tomorrow because Rainey is gone at scout camp all week, and she's got Rowan with her. And so I've got just Flynn and Ellery and me. So today,
Ellery's awfully quiet. She hasn't made an appearance yet. So
she has not. Well, Uncle DJ is here, Randy's brother.
So somebody to distract
And he stopped by tonight. He left his big truck here the other night. And he was working on our ignition, which Rainey and her friend Jamie put in all by themselves.
Very nice.
In our old van. I came out to do it, and they were like, "Ha, we don't need you. You're a man. We don't need you. We did it ourselves." I go, "Yeah." I said, "I'm so used and abused. You only need me for sex anymore." And but I was fine with that. They put it all in, and it worked, except for
the key.
And I got somebody that said they could come over that's got one of those that makes kind of house calls. And that there are a couple places I can go. It's about a 10-minute procedure. It's just a wireless, like a tablet that you hold up, and it reconfigures your key for you.
Yeah, you got to sync the key to the lock and the system and everything.
Right. The only problem is the van is not drivable until the key is usable. So we got to tow it somewhere. So I'm going to see if in town, small town, country town, I'm going to see if there is somebody that will let us come out and do it, or let us borrow it and bring it to the house and do it. Otherwise, I could go on Amazon and get one, but they're not super expensive. But
I mean, given the parts and the towing and all this other stuff, aren't you just ending up paying the same amount that if you just send it to
the part cost us about $115.
Assuming it's the right part and it fits.
It's right. It fits. It starts the car. It just won't turn the engine over because of the anti-lock.
Well, I mean, aren't most cars now like more computer than car?
Yep. But this is an old van. This van's 20 years old. It's a 2004 Honda Odyssey.
Back when things were made to last.
It's got about 210,000 miles on it. My father-in-law, who is deep into automotive and has a record and all of that, he said that's got a good 100 to 150,000 more miles on it, easy. So and it's still in good shape. I'm
going to send you something, Scotty.
Send it to me.
One of the things that we did while we were in Colorado, visiting my elder spawn and her boyfriend, the
elder spawn.
We were walking around Main Street in Grand Junction, and we stumbled across this. Oh, come on, where is it?
I'm waiting.
I got a couple here. I'll send you.
Okay.
We stopped into one of those old timey photo places.
Yeah.
He's
already laughing.
Got some old timey photos done.
Where are you sending it? My Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook Messenger.
Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
Let me see. I gotta scroll through the images here. I have so many pictures that I took this past few days.
Dan Madsen went off to my friend, my Star Trek friend. He went off to Ticonderoga, New York last week.
Oh, cool.
He was filming for one of these documentaries that's being done that William Shatner was in, and they filmed portions of it on the sets, the Star Trek sets.
Oh, nice.
The reconstruction of the original series sets.
Very cool.
And so there's pictures of Dan he sent me sitting in the captain's chair. Oh, hey, that's very nice. I should see if I can bring that into the show. Let's see what we can do here.
That'd be cool.
Let's see. Let's save it. Save as a has to be to bring it into the show, it's got to be a PDF. And I'm going to put it over here on the desktop where I can find it readily.
I wonder why it has to be a PDF. That's so interesting.
It's just the way they said it's got to be a PDF, or I think it can take a couple of other things, but PDF is the easiest.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here's the show. Here's the shoe. And let us present a slide from my computer, upload the file, go to my desktop where I stored it, and there it is. And let's bring it in. It's loading up into the show right now. It's been a long time since I did one of these tin types like this at a place like that.
Yeah. They weren't
got
tin
so many
type.
pictures of me in medieval clothing that here we go. Let's pull down Sarah's. There you go. Wow, you look good in fishnets. So, which one's your daughter?
So, my eldest is the one in the top right.
In the fishnets?
Yeah, in the
Okay.
in the whatever outfit. Saloon girl outfit.
Saloon girl outfit. There you go.
Yeah, and then my youngest is up there next to her, and then the boyfriend and I are sitting down front.
Your boyfriend?
No,
dude.
Megan's boyfriend.
Oh, okay. He's got kind of a little John Wayne-ish look to him there. His facial expression. Maybe a little Alan Ladd crossed with John Wayne going on there.
Yeah, sometimes though we'd be sitting there and I'm thinking like, man, this guy kind of looks like Jake Gyllenhaal.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he's an actor. There's some like mannerisms and facial expressions that he does. It's like, that's so weird.
I don't know you, but you, I never forget a face.
Right.
Chekhov. The music rises up. If you have any idea what we're talking about.
Come on!
Yes.
I stay.
Revenge is a dish best served cold.
But in space, it is much, much colder.
Much, much colder.
You know, the
hell's heart, I stab at thee.
You know, the sad thing about Ricardo Montalban doing Wrath of Khan, because you know most folks, I mean, sure, some people remember him from Space Seed and everything,
sure,
and then obviously Fantasy Island stuff. But you know, after Star Trek II, Ricardo Montalban had a really, really hard time, getting cast in other roles because nobody wanted to hire an ex-con. And
yep.
Oh boy.
Sarah burst a grin on that one. I saw an interview with him. I vaguely remember talking about this recently meaning in the last year.
Yeah.
But somebody was asking him about his dreams and his ambitions, and it was post Wrath of Khan.
Mm.
And he was kind of looking down and he says, "Oh," he says, "my dreams were shattered long ago." and it was very sad. It was like, oh my God. And he says, he's basically talking about how, because he was Mexican at first, he didn't get the roles he wanted and things like that. And always cast as the Latin lover type or something. But, my dreams were shattered long ago. So,
and he actually had some depth to him. He
had success too.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And he had some depth. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Corinthian leather.
Episode of Murder She Wrote. So I mean,
It's something about some of those actors that they all did their stints on shows like The Rockford Files or Murder She Wrote or Rockford Files. I elevated that a little higher than Murder She Wrote.
Well, and that was the thing. Angela Lansbury was very, very big about hiring and casting the old stars.
Yeah.
Who were basically out of work. And it wasn't so much of it. It wasn't like a pity you charity thing. It was, she wanted them
her old
to,
friends,
Right. And wanted them to, feel like, hey, you've still got value. You still have, people still love seeing you. And
that was like, what were the other shows that did that? Love American Style. Anybody old enough to remember that? It was like an anthology romantic comedy show with different characters every week. It was like The Love Boat before it was a regular cast. The Love Boat was another one.
The Love Boat,
exciting and new. That's all the words I know.
And Sarah is rolling her eyes.
Sarah, you love those shows.
God, these two.
Well, to be fair, balance of probability, I am rolling my eyes. So.
You're not old enough. Yeah.
To be fair.
I was watching Love American Style before you were a twinkle. So let's see, it was Dark Shadows.
Oh, Dark Shadows.
Dark Shadows was the best.
Barnabas
freaked the shit out of me, but I loved that show.
Barnabas, oh God, I can't think of his last name.
Barnabas Collins.
There we go.
Jonathan Freed played him.
Oh,
actually, Jonathan Freed, who played the original Barnabas, had a cameo walkthrough in Johnny Depp's version, which I thought was a stupid movie, but I watched it. It was fun, but
too bad
it was entertaining.
A good reboot. It's the reboot.
I didn't even think it. I didn't think it was a good reboot.
Yeah,
it wasn't horrific
enough. It doesn't capture the original.
No, but there was a scene where Barnabas Collins walks by in the old watch coat. He's kind of hunched over, a little old man. He walks by in the background. I go, that's so, and he died shortly after that.
I do love it when you have some sort of reboot or whatever, or they make a movie of an old show or something, and they bring an original person on.
Yeah,
and it's just in the background or some random passing kind of interaction, or something like that. And it's like, hold on, wait a minute, that was that guy. Or like in
Easter eggs.
Right? Yeah. But like you have one of the more obscure ones, Django Unchained.
I think I saw parts of that.
Yeah, the Tarantino film with
Wayans.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, DiCaprio was in it, and then
one of the Wayans brothers.
No, it's Jamie Foxx.
Oh, Jamie Foxx.
Yeah. Okay. And so, like, Jamie Foxx is going up to meet, Mr. Candy or whoever DiCaprio is. You piqued my interest, but now you have my attention.
Yes.
In a scene where he goes up and meets and they get all talking about this stuff they're talking about, Jamie Foxx sits at the bar that's in there, and this Hispanic dude long hair, has a beard. He's sitting there drinking. It's like, oh shit, that's the guy that originally played Django.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a remake.
Yeah.
Oh, that's always fun when you see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but, I mean, that makes me, quibble about Hollywood. I mean, what about original content? Because right now it's been like just remakes on remakes on remakes. I mean, what about the new original stuff?
Sometimes I kind of liken that a bit to, Laurence Olivier played Hamlet on stage, but I want to play Hamlet on stage on Broadway,
Right.
or something like that. I kind of see it a little bit as there are actors who would love to play certain parts.
Right.
Just Hamlet. Look at all the actors that played Hamlet on stage.
Or Henry V.
Henry
all
V.
that stuff.
We used to call it Henry V.
Yeah.
What's this Henry V movie? I love Kenneth Branagh Shakespearean films, I got to tell you.
Oh yeah, he is absolutely masterful at everything that he does.
He does. He is.
It's incredible what he can do. I hear he's a bit of a monster to work with sometimes.
I've heard that.
Yeah. But
and if you have not seen it, All Is True. His movie about William Shakespeare.
At the end of his life, right?
Yep, the end of his life after he's retired out of the theater, and he comes back home to Anne Hathaway, who's not really all that fond of him these days because he's been gone more than he's been home. And
who played the love interest in Shakespeare in Love?
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Never mind. I was like, hey, wait, did they get the same lady? Because that would be funny.
No, they got, it was Judith Dench.
Oh, Judi Dench. Dame Judi Dench.
But I loved Shakespeare in Love when that came out. It was such a lighthearted movie. Sarah, did you see that movie?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Loved that movie. It was a lighthearted romp with Shakespeare. But I got to tell you something. I don't think I have ever seen a more beautiful interpretation of the clips of Romeo and Juliet that they did in that movie. And I think probably is because it's grouped with the music, the incidental music of the movie, and all of that. And by the way, Joseph Fiennes, who played Will Shakespeare in that, he and a cousin of his are doing a travel adventure series. His cousin, who I think has a different last name, I don't think it's Fiennes, but I'm not sure. Can't remember now.
Are they just ripping off of Obi-Wan Kenobi and his buddy who did the motorcycle shows?
No, it's different.
Oh,
because his cousin was a very renowned British adventurer who received, if he did not receive a knighthood, I can't remember, very renowned in the adventurer's world. And very dry humored, a lot older than Joseph Fiennes. And but he's retracing some of his cousin's footsteps.
Oh, cool.
And his cousin's with him, of course, on these adventures. And I've only seen a couple of episodes of it so far, but they're in Egypt, is where they started.
What's it on?
Where did we see it? Did we see it on? It was either Disney's Nat Geo, the portion of the Disney Channel.
Okay.
Or it's
so that'll be on Disney Plus then.
It might, Disney
Plus.
Plus.
Do you remember the title of it?
I don't. I can.
I'm going to go look that up after this.
Adventure series with Joseph Fiennes.
Wasn't he? Didn't just play?
He is a knight, but he was knighted. It's Sir Ranulph Fiennes and actor cousin Joseph Fiennes traverse British Columbia's challenging landscapes. That must be season 2.
So they're in Canada.
Return to the Nile.
Okay.
No, that was 2019. Is that right? Disney UK. Yeah, it's a Disney thing. World Explorer Sir Ranulph Fiennes, Ranulph, on their new adventure series in Egypt. It says, I want to see what the series is. I remember the first time I met actor Joseph Fiennes in France. We enjoyed a day together at Cannes, blah, blah, blah. He's an epic 3-part National Geographic adventure series, Egypt with the World's Greatest Explorer, it's called, which was what his cousin was dubbed the World's Greatest Explorer back in like the 60s. And so they go up and down the Nile. The World's Greatest Living Explorer, something like that. Long title. But I thought it was really well done. I enjoyed it.
Cool. I will have to look that up.
Yeah, look that one up.
And what was the title again?
I just turned it up. I think it's Egypt with the World's Greatest Explorer or something like that. Just look up Joseph Fiennes. So
he's the guy who played what's the thing?
He's the guy that what?
He was the guy in Schindler. He played the bad guy in Schindler's List, right?
No, that was Ralph.
Oh, that was Ralph. Okay,
his brother. Is it Ralph? Who also played Voldemort?
Yeah.
So
okay.
Voldemort in the Harry Potter series. So I saw some guy today. He's got a pose. He's got all the classic Indiana Jones outfit on.
Yeah.
And a whip in one hand or something. And he's back like this. And he's got this great pose. And he looks really good. And he says, I'm just posting this here. It was in the I can't remember if it was an Indiana Jones site or the adventure site that I'm part of, the Vintage Adventurer. But he said something like, I'm a geek. He says, I dress like Indiana Jones for fun. He says, I love comic books. I still watch cartoons. I do this and that. And I have not yet seen Schindler's List. He says, I am a geek. And I said, uh-oh. I said, I'm all those things too, except I've seen Schindler's List. Please don't take away my geek creds.
Right.
So.
Yeah. That was a funny one that you posted the other day, where it was the
heads.
The Democratic donkey doing the dressed as Indiana Jones.
The Democratic donkey dressed as Indiana Jones in the temple at the very beginning of the first movie, where he switches the bag of sand for the idol.
Yeah,
he's rolling Biden's head off and rolling Kamala Harris's on.
I saw that. And I was just like, "Oh God, okay, that's pretty."
I've had people say to me, "That's not very funny." It's like, yeah, it's funny.
It is. It's funny.
So,
sorry, not sorry.
I'm sorry, but I make no apologies.
Right.
And Sarah, what about you?
Well, aside from Schindler's List, what movies would you consider that everyone should see?
Well, I think Schindler's List is
at least once in their lifetime.
Princess Bride. They haven't seen
Princess
that.
Bride is a must see.
Yeah, you have to see that one.
I would say, I thought Lincoln.
Lincoln was good.
Was something everybody should see. And if nothing else, just to see Daniel Day-Lewis's performance.
Yeah,
it's astounding.
No, he did a really good job. And it was that's one of those things. It's like the way, in one hand, I kind of want to say, was it Mark Twain who said the whole, something about when the legend, what is it? When the truth is something or other than the legend, print the legend. Was it Mark Twain who said that, or was it?
I don't.
It's more likely to stick than the truth. People tend to believe lies easier than the truth.
Well, right, yeah, and it was quoted. It was quoted in "The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance." There at the end, Jimmy Stewart's character is, has come back to Shinbone to bury John Wayne, and he's been a senator at this point, and everybody believes that it was Jimmy Stewart's character who shot Liberty Valance, who, if you're not familiar with the movie, is a bad cowboy character who was, just did nothing but stir up trouble, rob stagecoaches, create problems for everyone, was town bully. And, Jimmy Stewart's character was this. Was
that Lee Marvin who played in that?
It was Lee Marvin. Yeah. Lee Marvin was Liberty Valance. And, Jimmy Stewart's character, well, Jimmy Stewart can't help but to be anything other than gangly, but, he's come to Shinbone, and he's a new lawyer, and he's trying to, set up, practice for law in the West there in Shinbone and all that. And he, gets into it with Liberty Valance, and they end up facing each other down in the street. And the way everybody remembers it is that Jimmy Stewart is the one who ultimately shoots down Liberty Valance after Liberty Valance has been taking pot shots at his feet, telling him to dance, and hey dude, dance, and stuff like that. And the real story that you find out after all this stuff, and after they have a big statehood election, because they're in a territory, and I forget which territory it was that they were in, but he has this conversation with John Wayne, and he's like, oh yeah, dude, you think you're the one who shot Liberty that night? Here's how it really went. Turns out John Wayne shot Liberty Valance from an alley and got a shot off from his Winchester at the same time that Jimmy Stewart fires his Colt Peacemaker at him. And so John Wayne's really the one who shot him. But so Jimmy Stewart tells this whole story as kind of an admission kind of thing to the people when they're sitting there in the room with John Wayne's casket. And the newspaper guy there is, interviewing, because now Jimmy Stewart's gone on to be a big senator and all this stuff with statehood and things like that. And the editor is sitting there listening along with the writer, and then at the end of it, he tears it all up, and he says, the whole thing about when the truth is whatever, print the legend. So it's, we tend to cling to those things. Like Sarah said, the legend or the lie, the tall tale becomes a little easier to believe just because it's more fantastical or whatever. But like, people don't realize, most people, at least now they do more because the information gets out there. But like, people had very much this thing of Lincoln 87 years ago.
I was just talking about that the other day.
Right. And really
of his voice.
The thin, reedy voice, the man was, 12 feet tall. That's an exaggeration. And, built like a willow cane, but like, he's just, the voice that everybody.
With the context I mentioned it under was when Disney first opened up the Hall of Presidents in Disneyland back in that was either the late 50s or the early 60s that they built the first Hall of Presidents, and they did Abraham Lincoln first. And they had this booming voice for him, 87 years ago. And they said, no, that's, and they did a lot of historical research that said, Lincoln.
Oh, and Manhunt. There's a show. Sorry, my mini-me just interjected that there is a show called Manhunt where they actually, he thinks that's what it was. That they captured his voice being all nasally and reedy.
Yeah. There's that he had this. He never outgrew his Kentuckian accent,
right?
And that he had a willowy voice, and which Daniel Day-Lewis plays up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of those things I was like, oh man, he's not doing dramatic. He is doing Lincoln.
Country. He's doing Lincoln.
And that's Daniel Day-Lewis. Yeah. I mean, and that was because I think Daniel Day-Lewis has since retired. But that was the beauty of Daniel Day-Lewis. Like, you want to talk about method acting.
Oh my God.
The man. Yeah.
Well, look up the old actor who is now deceased, long deceased, Dolan Royal.
Okay.
You saw him in a lot of shows in the 70s, the 80s as he got older. He looks like Lincoln. He's craggy and tall like that.
Yeah.
But they hired him to do the voice for the animatronic. And he was the one that says, 70 years ago. And that's the way he talked. And they said that he pretty much, scholars thought he got Lincoln to the life.
Yeah.
And but what other movies are in that top 10 that Sarah, what are yours?
Yeah.
Godfather.
Huh?
Yeah. Godfather. Let's see what else.
Making people use oranges for scary teeth the world over.
That's right.
Yeah.
How about the Goonies?
Oh yeah, Goonies.
That right up there.
No, not the Goonies.
Oh, did you say not the Goonies?
Not.
I said, how about the? Oh, you don't like the Goonies, Sarah?
It was okay. I didn't sit through it, but let's see. I guess for me, it would be...
chunk.
I'm really trying hard to not judge.
Yeah. Exactly.
Welcome to my world.
Indiana Jones has to be up in there. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Which one? I mean, because
the first one, it was because it was classic.
See, the one thing that I don't get about the Indiana Jones movie, because I think chronologically, I mean, they did which one first?
Well, so Raiders was made
first, and then they did Temple of Doom second. But Temple of Doom is supposed to be earlier than Raiders,
prequel,
right?
Yeah,
right.
I think they didn't know what to do with the character after such a major adventure discovery as the Lost Ark.
Yeah,
but then they did the.
Well, and then you had
number 3 was the one with the
Last Crusade.
The Last Crusade.
Yeah, and that's one of those interesting ones.
Movies.
Yeah, that was my favorite. Last Crusade.
Which one?
And you know,
Last Crusade with Sean Connery. Yeah.
See, and you know what? That's funny. Before the last 2 movies they did that came out, when you ask people, yes, you would get a variety of answers, but the level of consistency and rating of like, out of the 3 movies, which is your favorite? Raiders and Last Crusade were always neck and neck. Temple is always at the bottom of the list. Not always.
Temple wasn't the best movie.
It wasn't. It was a good
exciting
movie.
and
with
fun.
the whole cultural appropriation thing. But I mean,
the what appropriation thing?
Cultural appropriation thing.
What cultural appropriation thing?
People did that though, but I never saw it as that. I went,
who culturally appropriated?
It's a movie.
Who culturally appropriated?
Well, they're talking about the thuggies and the.
Yeah, I mean the whole idea with the eating of chilled monkey brains and eye soup and
But that's funny.
The whole Kali Ma thing,
Right.
Ripping hearts out of the,
Yeah, but you got to remember that centers around the thuggy cult, which was a pretty violent cult. So it wasn't necessarily.
It was an actual cult, though.
Right. Yeah, it was. Yeah. And it was a pretty violent one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems that rose up just in terms of society and obviously the British Empire. But, with the thuggy cult.
He says really quickly.
We're not judging.
Look, we all get this. Some things don't need to be said because we all understand it, right?
Now, there's a movie that was not in my top 10, but that I enjoyed, and it was the King and I.
Oh,
not
yeah, that
the
was
musical
good.
version.
The Yul Brynner one, right?
No, not the King. It wasn't the
No,
music.
no, not the etc.
I liked Yul Brynner in that, but no, it was the one a little
You want to talk
later.
about cultural
Was it Jodie
appropriation?
Foster played the teacher, and not Jet Li, but it was a name.
Chow Yun-Fat.
Chow Yun-Fat. That's right. I like Chow Yun-Fat.
And it was really, I thought that was a really good movie.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't rate it as one of my top ones.
it was good though.
It was. Volunteers was one of my favorite movies for a long time. A Tom Hanks comedy where he's a rich kid in, I think it's in Boston or New York, and a very wealthy kid. He's at a party, in a white dinner jacket and the black pants and the black bow tie, but he has a gambling debt that his father won't pay for him this time. But father, you don't understand. They want to take my life. Well, that's a lesson, son, that you will have to learn.
Oh.
His father, George Plimpton, played his father. But he switches places with his buddy from college going to the Peace Corps in Thailand. And so he boards this plane, leaves him. He says, I'll do this. I'll trade my place. He says, give me the car. He's got like a Corvette, 1965 Corvette or something. So he gives him his car. He hops on board the plane, and he's still in his dinner suit, tuxedo, and he gets on, and everybody's singing Kumbaya. And he's like, oh yes. He says, the Peace Corps. And but it's a great movie. It's the movie where he met his wife, who he's still married to.
Yeah.
Rita, whatever her name is. She was the female lead in that.
No, not Hayworth.
And there's that the Asian actor that you saw him in all the old movies, and he talked like there was a young guy, and he always had a voice like that. And I can't think of his name, but he was in that movie. And there were some other notable people in that. But here he is. He's in the Peace Corps. He's a rich kid, didn't want to go to the Peace Corps. He keeps trying to find a way back home. Can't find one. So he finally gives in. And their job is they're going to build this bridge across the river for this village. So they build the bridge. And John Candy is in it too. John Candy. And I mean, this movie came out in like 1984, something like that.
Let's see if I can find it.
Really funny movie. If you have not watched it, watch Volunteers. Some of it is stupid 80s humor. Others, you got to figure Tom Hanks, John Candy. Funny movie. So
let's see if I can find it. Volunteers. Because now I want to know who the Asian guy is.
Yeah, you've seen him in a million things. He was in something like, wasn't he in 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, one of those Molly Ringwald, John Carpenter type movies?
This isn't James Hong, was it?
No, not. He wasn't the old guy. He was a young guy.
Let's see.
He always seemed to have
I just searched for it, and I got to tell mom
his
the
face.
Let's see. Languages and more. Okay, let's see if I can find a cast.
Probably on IMDb.
Let's see. Oh, Gede Watanabe.
There he is. Yep, Gede Watanabe.
Yeah, he was in Gung Ho with oh God, Michael Keaton.
Oh,
yeah,
old movie.
Right, he was in Gung Ho with Michael Keaton. He was the Japanese guy that was like one of the manager people they had bought the auto plant in that had there's American.
I remember that movie.
Yeah, and they basically became friends because Michael Keaton ended up being like, the union's pick for being the rep for all of the auto workers, and they ended up becoming good buddies. Yeah, Gede Watanabe. Yeah.
So I think you would really enjoy the movie. It's good Hanks humor, good Candy humor, and Rita Wilson kind of plays the straight role. She's a Peace Corps worker and doesn't like Hanks at first, of course, because he's some rich white guy. That white
sounds like
didn't come into it.
Tom Hanks movie, the late
80s
and 90s.
Yeah.
Before he
You
got.
know what? One of my favorite Hanks movies is
everything.
What's that?
And it's not Big. Everybody loves Big. Everybody knows Big.
Big is good.
Big is great, especially when you and whenever you go someplace and you find a Zoltan machine, but Joe versus the Volcano.
Yeah, that was good.
It was a great movie.
Melanie Griffith in that?
No, that wasn't Melanie Griffith. That was oh God.
Everybody needs to eat more fish.
Go on, yeah, get those omega-3s. It was the oh God, she was like real big. Meg Ryan.
It is Meg Ryan. Oh, it's Meg Ryan, right?
Yeah, Meg Ryan. Yeah,
that was fun. Joe and the Volcano.
Such a great movie.
All of those old movies.
The Money Pit. That was another good one.
Money Pit. I loved that movie. That was Shelley Long in that. I didn't think she fit with Tom Hanks, but the movie was funny.
Yeah.
She was the one in Cheers, the TV series Cheers with Ted Danson before Kirstie Alley came along.
Oh, okay. Yeah, gotcha. Yep. Yeah. Oh, hey, there's one. Don't tell mom the babysitter's dead.
Yeah.
That's
Elizabeth Shue?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Let's see.
No, she was in The Babysitter, I think.
Speaking of Shue and Tom Hanks, the man with one red shoe.
Yes. Wasn't his first big breakthrough movie into drama was Philadelphia, wasn't it? Where he played the gay guy with AIDS?
Yes, I think that was his first real drama. Yeah.
He won an Oscar for that, I thought.
He did.
And now I've seen him in so many good movies that people badmouth Tom Hanks. He's part of the Hollywood whatever. And I'm like, I don't buy it.
Yeah, there's some stuff where you're kind of like, well, like, people talk about him being on the Epstein list or some shit.
Right.
Things like that. But like that man, along with, even Steven Spielberg to an extent, but like Gary Sinise, like they both do a lot of veteran related stuff.
They do.
And like Hanks now has his own coffee brand that like a percentage of it goes to veteran support stuff.
Nice.
After Saving Private Ryan and Forrest Gump.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but it was his production company, Playtone, that did Band of Brothers.
Yep.
Did The Pacific, and then most recently Masters of the Air.
They've got some new series, or no? Wasn't Tom Hanks? Didn't he have something to do with the new one about the pilots, the World War II pilots?
Yeah, Masters of the Air.
Oh,
it's about the mighty. It's about the 8th Air Force and the 100th Bomb Group.
Yes.
During basically, the daylight campaign, bombing campaign, and when all of it started, and then leading up through the end of the war. So, but yeah, the bloody 100th was the outfit that he followed. There were some things in that series that irked me, and it was a good series. It was well done in a whole lot of ways. There were some things that frustrated me because it was little details that were stupidly easy to get right.
Haircuts,
mustaches. Everybody had a damn mustache. Rosie Rosenthal, you can look through hundreds of wartime photos with that man in the photo, and not a single one of them is he wearing a mustache.
Right.
And it's like, you have the source documents there. You have the truth. Why are you trying to make this guy look like Clark Gable? Stop.
Right.
And Rosie Rosenthal, in terms of like, the Air Force and bomb groups and things like that, Rosie Rosenthal is a legend. So even to this day. So it's like, come on, guys, you could have got that right. And there's plenty of people out there who are like, oh, it's just much worry about. It's like, well, because if you have the source material, you have the actual factual stuff, and you do something different, that means you're consciously choosing to do it wrong, and that's a problem. Because what else are you just choosing to do wrong because it's fashionable or whatever? And when you have men like that you're portraying, they're print the legend. Well, they are the legend, living, walking, and breathing. Don't
right.
But I mean, they're in the legend making business. It's like you were quoting earlier about Mark Twain. About,
right.
things that we remember.
But that's the thing is with these guys, reality is the legend. Like literally, there is nothing more legendary than the actual reality of it. So why mess with the perfect formula?
Well, I said that when they did Kate Blanchett in Elizabeth, the first Elizabeth movie. I said, why tamper so much with the fantastic story that actually existed in history? And they tried to squeeze too much into too short a time period, things like that. By the way, Roger Rabbit asks, where does You've Got Mail rank? Pretty low on my list. I don't even remember any memorable lines from You Got Mail.
Sleepless in Seattle.
Sleepless. Oh boy. Isn't that the one where they had to meet like the old movie on the
Empire State Building?
Empire State Building. I was going to say Eiffel Tower.
Something like that.
Not the Eiffel Tower.
But hey, it was Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, so they were coming back together after Joe versus Volcano.
Right. What was the best scene in that movie? Was her faking the orgasm in the restaurant?
Oh, that's when Harry Met Sally.
That's which one?
Harry Met Sally.
Harry Met Sally.
With Billy Crystal.
Oh, that's Billy Crystal. Totally different movie.
Liar!
Yeah. I always liked him in I remember City Slickers with Billy Crystal.
Oh, he was great in City Slickers. That was an amazing one.
Yeah. I think of that almost every day. Weird brain connection. Almost every day when I'm grinding my coffee beans, I think of that scene from City Slickers where he's grinding his coffee. And it's a cattle stampede.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? What? Yeah, there were some Jack Palance in that was.
Oh, it was fantastic. Look at it. Every step he takes, it's like creaking leather. He's like a walking saddlebag.
Yeah. And he's like, a crap bigger than you.
It's that one thing.
Yeah.
I want to hear the rest of Sarah's list.
Yeah, let's hear more.
I didn't have a list. I just brought the question up. But I don't know. What about Breakfast at Tiffany's?
Oh, that's a fantastic one.
It's a great movie. It was off of my radar, but it's a great movie.
One of the best little monologue-y kind of things is when George Peppard gets out of the cab and leans back in the open door, and he's like, "Listen, the problem with you is Holly or whoever you are," and just gives that whole thing. Oh, I love that scene.
Yes. I have to say, for old movies, my all-time favorite has always been it's cliche, but Casablanca. And there is so much about that movie I like and have always liked.
It's hard not to like Casablanca. I
really remember in the early 1980s when the movie was only 40 years old. And I was sitting with my first wife's family, and we were watching Casablanca. We rented it and watched it with her brother, my wife's brother, and his wife, who was very sheltered Christian, almost Mennonite looking for the kind of sheltered Baptist they were, from the country. They had a farm, and we're watching Casablanca, and she kept kind of snickering. I go, Nancy, what are you laughing at? She goes, this movie is so full of old lines. I said, you do realize this is the movie where those lines originated. And she went, oh. And I can't remember what the line was, but it was one that she was laughing about it. And sheltered upbringing. She had never seen the movie.
Yeah, one of my absolute favorite old movies, since we're going like that era, was made in 1949, but 12 O'Clock High.
Yes,
with Gregory Peck.
Gregory Peck
was absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Gregory Peck.
Well, if you're going to talk Gregory Peck, you can't get past Roman Holiday.
Yep. Oh, Roman Holiday was fantastic with him and Audrey Hepburn. Yeah.
Two other movies I really liked with Gregory Peck. I loved him in, of course, To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah,
which was late 60s, and I loved him in Horatio Hornblower. And have you ever seen that one?
No, I haven't.
Have you ever read the books by Forster?
I think I've read bits and pieces. I'm familiar with Horatio Hornblower.
There was a really good miniseries done of Horatio Hornblower with the Scottish actor in the lead role. He played in, you saw him in several what seemed like small roles. He played, I can't remember the character's name, the Fantastic Four, the first Fantastic Four movie.
Sandy-haired color guy, sandy-colored hair guy. Curly.
A little darker, kind of curly, wavy.
Yeah.
He played Lancelot in Clive Owen's King Arthur movie.
Okay, yeah.
And it roles like that. And a small role he had, he was in one of the lifeboats in the movie Titanic, calling out for people. He was one of the crew in a uniform, an officer in a uniform, looking for people floating in the water, calling out. A very small role for him. But he played Horatio Hornblower in the.
I remember that series. I remember that
really well done.
It was fun. I remember watching it. It was fun.
And something I liked. One reason when I was a kid, when I first started liking Horatio Hornblower, was when I heard that Gene Roddenberry said he fashioned Captain as a Horatio Hornblower of space. And I thought, in his inception, and I thought, oh, cool. And that made me want to look up Horatio Hornblower and read those classic novels. C.S. Forster. So, good stuff.
Indeed.
Well, guys, it's 11:33.
Indeed it is.
I think I'm going to wrap this show tonight. It was an hour ago I was saying, hey, if nobody calls in.
And then I called in.
Thank you, too, for calling in.
Well, you are welcome.
This is kind of fun. We could do a whole show without getting into weird stuff or politics or something. Just doing entertainment stuff like this. Like, I could talk about this stuff forever. Books and entertainment, but, would you have a good audience for it? I don't know.
It's where you do it for yourself.
Right.
You do it for yourself, right?
Yeah, the whole idea of meditation, of communication. Yeah, I could go hours on that. Just exploring different aspects. But,
everybody, give me one more round of movies. I can't think of one off the top of my head, so I'll let you two go first. One more round of movies, any movie, any era. That I'm almost thinking more modern movies that gripped you. And it was either comedically gripped you or dramatically gripped you. A movie that you would go, not everybody thinks this, but this is a fantastic movie.
Go first, Jason. Need a minute.
The first thing that pops to my mind, and when you say gripping, right, and that's kind of where my mind went with it. I'm gonna have to say Fury. Fury with Brad Pitt. He was the tank commander.
I saw that.
And the reason why for me it was so gripping, literally understanding to an extent tank warfare, and especially weapons used against tanks, and then what they were facing in World War II with the Sherman tanks on the U.S. side versus the Tiger IIs and stuff like that. The Germans did a really great depiction of that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one scene though that like really, really sticks with me, and that's when there's like 5 Shermans and they're rolling in a column to get to this one area to support this unit that's moving over there, and they get ambushed by Germans, and like the Germans are kids, right? They're like Freikorps type. They're because at this point in the war, Germany is like pulling up like the Hitlerjugend and stuff like that. So you got like 15, 16-year-old kids in the field, right?
Yeah.
This kid comes from behind a tree with a Panzerfaust, which is an anti-tank rocket, sort of like an RPG or bazooka, but it's like very, very inexpensively manufactured, and it's a single shot only kind of thing. And it's a shape charge to blow through the armor, and he hops around from this tree, doesn't hit the lead tank, he hits the second or third tank in the column that's got the young lieutenant who's like the platoon leader.
Mm-hmm.
And he hits the tank, it bursts through the armor and ignites everything inside, and you have high explosive stuff, you've got white phosphorus, you got plus you have fuel inside and all this, and it's just column of flame coming up through the hatch, and all of this stuff has gotten on the tank commander, this young lieutenant, and he literally on fire, covered in white phosphorus, flops out of the turret, and then at the last minute has the presence of mind to shoot himself with his 45.
Oh.
And it's one of those things where it's like, if you know what Willie Pete does, the white phosphorus, if you know, like you can't, unless you completely cut it off from oxygen, it will continue to burn until there is no fuel left.
Fire.
Worse than. And so it's like, that's probably one of the most accurate depictions of that. Ooh. And I remember seeing it in the theater with my buddy Dinas, who's he was an engineer. I guess he got out as a major. Major or captain. But anyways, we watched it in the theater, and both of us literally were like gripping the armrests of the comfy chairs so tightly that you thought you were, I was like, I'm going to pull the upholstery off of this if I don't stop.
Yeah.
Like, the way they did some things in there really just, that was the first one that came to mind. There's a couple other, as I've been talking, that have kind of come to mind, but it's a similar sort of thing. The Outpost, which talks about Cliff Romachet and I think that was the Battle of Wynot. But anyways, the Cop Keating, the way that was done, I know when I was watching that thing had me, once it started getting into the siege of the outpost, it's like I wasn't even breathing.
Right.
And so gripping, one of those two.
I liked let's see, what were the ones? And they're obscure enough in my memory. I'm going, okay, what was that? Now, there was a couple of them that came up. Of course, Gladiator is on my list. I like that, not as a gripping film, but a great historical film about the heroic in us. I liked that. And then there was one that was a little older? And why am I not calling it up? I had it in my head a second ago. American Sniper did that to the Chris Kyle story.
It was Bradley Cooper, right?
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
I liked that. There were a lot of reasons I liked that. I had a weird, very weird metaphysical experience during that. And I think that's probably why that one sticks with me. It might not have if that had that not happened. And I still to this day can't explain it, what it was, but it was sitting in the theater, and I had on my big furry, fur trapper's coat and my fedora, and there's nobody behind me, so I'm sitting there, and my son Sam is with me, and I felt suddenly there was a scene where I felt like somebody was standing right next to me, almost, drill sergeant fashion. He's over me like this. And he's saying, "You listen to this." He said, "Listen to this. This is what you need to get out of this." And yelling it. And I remember seeing him in the theater. He wasn't angry at me. He was emphatic. And I was like, what the fuck? And I sank a little in my seat. And then when I stood up at the end of that movie, I had gone to the movie and I had a really bad sciatica thing broke up. And so I was pretty stiff and not walking real well that day. And I stood up in my seat when I got out of the seat, and I felt like I was 2 feet taller than I normally was. I was very, where you sit like this, I was very like this. And I walked out, and there was no pain in my back, and I had this, I felt like, this is the only way I can describe it, military stature, officer's stature, walking out of the theater, very buoyant, but very tall, very almost stately feeling. And that went away by the time I made it to the car. And I sat down. And then tears hit me. And I'm not going to get into all the details about it, but I remember I called John Ward in Egypt when I got home. And I said, I got to talk to you about this. And he said, go out, sit under the tree and meditate on this and other stuff. But what happened at that point was so strange to me. And like I say, remember I've said a few times about a few things. I'm not given to visions and things like that, but I've had a couple of things like that happen in the last 10 years. And so that was an interesting experience. I don't know what that was. I've never had that happen to me in a movie before where I felt presences. I mean, I was wide awake and I'm feeling that there was a presence there with me. And I thought, why this? Why here? Why this scene? Why this movie? And why am I getting a military presence talking to me like that? So it was very interesting. But
what scene was it?
I have a really hard time isolating the scene anymore, but I believe it all took place when they're on the rooftop and they're trying to target the guy that's way out there. And a buddy of his or somebody in his team, I think, was shot by the sniper while they're on the rooftop. Remember, there was something in that scene, and it's where he's aiming, he's targeting, trying to find the guy in his sights. And it was somewhere right in there that happened. And so I can no longer make a connection to it. What exactly in that scene, hit me or did that. And, but it was right in there somewhere. And I felt that. And, and then it spilled over into another little scene. I can't remember now, but What was that? God, that was 10 years ago, at least. So,
well, to bring it back to the main subject, that's where meditation can step in, because it can link up between the unconscious and conscious mind. So
you're right. I could probably link into that again, figure out what it was.
Of course, you got to tie it back to the original topic. We're having this great conversation about.
Yeah, exactly. And we got to end the great conversation. So,
indeed.
All right, guys. You two have a great night.
All right, thanks, Scotty.
I'm going to dump you both. See you, Sarah. Nice to have you here. And JP, good to see
Always
you, brother.
Always a pleasure. Good
Maybe
seeing
see you on Robertson tomorrow if you're around.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's going on with me and the kiddo.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon. Everybody else, thank you for being here. Thanks for making this a part of your night. Those hangers-on who are still here into the late hour of this show. I appreciate your presence and what you do for me. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Live long and prosper.